Hello Doctor Who fans and welcome to my review of The Space Museum, starring William Hartnell as the First Doctor. So, The Space Museum. I am sorry for the incredibly long delay with this review, but as I mentioned in a previous review, I've been performing, so I haven't really had a chance to do many videos or watch this story, but now I have, and here's the review. So, basically, the story of the Space Museum is that the TARDIS lands on this planet called Zeros. The Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky discover themselves as exhibits in this space museum, where it was like this alien museum full of all the exhibits of things they've encountered. And they discover that it's this interdimensional museum, and they have to kind of work out the time lapses and all of that regarding that. And they also run into the native Zerons who want to revolt against the Morlocks, who are in control of the planet at the time. And that's pretty much it, really. They have to help assist in the revolution, and yeah, and get back home. So, the Space Museum. I'd heard from a couple of my subscribers previously, very mixed things on this. I think this is a story that really gets a mixed response from the Doctor Who community. Some people like it, some people don't. I've yet to hear of somebody who loves it. I mean, if you do, then great for you. In my opinion, I was very surprised. I actually really enjoyed this one. It was a very good, very solid story. I mean, the fact of the matter is, this story is the first story out of the classic series, anyway, to establish the interdimensional, the concept of, you know, relative dimension. I mean, so, you know, that was really interesting, and how obviously paradoxes come into play there as well. So it's adding a new flavour to the concept of time travel. I mean, if you try and explain the concept of time travel, you are going to get confused, so there is no point. But the way they sort of incorporate it into the story is quite clever, and I liked the story. I thought it was really cool. You think it goes one way, but then it goes another way. It's very intriguing to start with. This is 4 parts, so it's a perfect length. And I think that it's very intriguing. Like, the first part in particular, it's a great build-up. And you really do wonder, what the hell's going on? You know, why are the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky standing there as exhibits in their own, in a space museum? And then the story starts to become a little bit more layered and more complex. I think this is a very fun story. It's a very fun, engaging, entertaining story. I love the design of the museum. I think the museum looks great. And I think the story in the new series called Dalek, which starred Christopher Eccleston as the 9th Doctor, that story pays homage to this with the fact that they have a museum in that story, like an alien museum. So I think that was a nice homage to this, and I think this looks great. I mean, there's a moment when we see a Dalek as well, or a Dalek case in the museum, which is cool. So that was a nice little reference. And there are some very good moments here as well. Like, the rooms are all obscure. It's all like really weird and zany, and I think it looks great. And I had fun with this story. It's very intriguing. I think Vicky really takes a shine in this story. She really gets to take full control as she kind of takes the forefront and assists the Zerons in their revolution. And I like the relationship that she forms with, is it Tor? Tor, I think his name is. It's not a romantic relationship, but it's they're really very fond of each other, and I like that she feels like that she wants to help them, And obviously it will affect their future as well, because they're stuck in this museum and they need to get out and find the real TARDIS. So, excuse me. And so there's a lot at stake in this story, which is what I like. We've got a sense of stake now. This story isn't just a weird, whimsical kind of story about interdimensional time travel. It's also about a revolt, about a revolution. So I really like that. I do have to say the weak aspects of this story are the villains. The Morlocks. I just think they're nothing. I mean, they're pretty much a joke. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the outfits as well. I mean, they wear like these white outfits. I mean, the Zerons aren't much better. They just wear all black. So that's very plain. I just think that the costumes are very plain, and also the villains are very plain. They don't do anything. They're not menacing. They're not threatening. They're just guys. They're just guys in suits. Like, you don't get the sense that they're alien. You don't really get the sense that the Doctor or anyone is intimidated by them. They get taken out way too easily. That's my problem in this movie. As much as, not this movie, sorry, this story. As much as there is a sense of stake, I do feel like the villains are too easily taken out. And the end of the story comes round to them much too easily. And I didn't get that sense of tension that the villains needed to create more problems for the heroes, and they didn't. So that's I've got to knock that down a peg. I just didn't think they were very good villains at all. They were rubbish. They were. I mean, the three Zerons that we have are very good. I like them. They're good characters. Sate, I think, is one. Tor is the other one, and I think is it Darko or Danko? I think that's his name. They're good. I like them. They're very interesting characters, and I like how at first we're not quite sure if they're good or bad, but then because they capture the Doctor, but then it turns out they need help in their revolution, and I thought that was a very interesting idea. And I just think that this story has a nice sense of containment. The fact that it's set in a museum, and there's this big sort of there's moments of action spectacle as well, like when Ian fights the guards. That's really cool. And when they battle the guards at the end, that was really good. The other characters are good. I mean, William Hartnell was the Doctor. Continues to impress me. He's just so charming. He's so funny. He's so wonderful. There's a scene when he's being interrogated by the what's his name? I can never remember the characters' names. Is it Lobos or something? Yeah, Lobos. Yeah, when he's being interrogated by Lobos, that's funny. He's just laughing at him, and so he's not intimidated by this guy at all. And then the Doctor kind of takes a back seat in the story because he ends up being processed, as they like to call it. So that leaves the centre stage for the companions. This story is very much, I feel like it's helmed by Vicky and the other companions. Ian is good in this story. Barbara is also very good. But Vicky, it's really Vicky's story. Vicky takes full centre stage here. But they're all very good. And there's obviously the first part, all four of them are kind of together and they're all in the same situation. They don't know what the hell is going on and, why they're in the situation they're in. And, I mean, the only other thing I'd say about this story is that it does have some pacing issues that work against it. There are moments of the story that are a little bit slow, but not to the extent of the Web Planet. I think if the Web Planet was like this, then the Web Planet would be more enjoyable. The Web Planet is 6 parts, and that is too long. But I enjoyed the Space Museum. I just think the villains could have been a lot better and a lot more intimidating. But the story's certainly intriguing, and I would watch it again if it was on. I think it's a very fun story with great performances. And a very interesting, intriguing story. The way it builds up and the way it ends. So yeah, and I like the music as well. The music for this story is really good. I mean, whoever does the score for this one is very good. And I think Mervyn Pinfield's direction is very good. It's tight, it's sharp, it's very well staged. It's also written quite well, I think. But again, it's just the biggest problem is the villains. They're just not good. They're just crap. I'm sorry, they are just crap. They're just guys in suits. That's not compelling. That's not compelling. Same with the Zerons. They're just guys in suits. They're just guys in black outfits. really, is that it? It's just very plain. Like, you could have done something a lot more with that. But, overall, I really do enjoy this story, and I think it's a lot of fun, and it was a lot better than I anticipated it to be. I'm going to round off my review by giving it a final score of 8 out of 10. Because I do think that the villains do really drag it down, and plus minor pacing issues do affect it slightly. But I think it's a very good story, and the way that it ends, obviously, with the cliffhanger with the Dalek, is interesting. Obviously, because the next story I'm going to review is The Chase, which is a Dalek story. So that's going to be interesting. The third Dalek story ever in the canon of Doctor Who. So yeah, that's my review of the Space Museum. Please put your comments down below, let me know what you think, and stay tuned for my review of The Chase. So until then, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.